welcome to this week's Waterford County Matters. Let's take a look at what's coming up on the show tonight. First up, we talk to Michael Quinn, the Three Sisters bid director, who tells us how to do our bit for the bid and make the Three Sisters the next European capital of culture. Next up, we take to the streets of Waterford to find out what you think of the UK's shock decision to leave the EU. After the break, we attend The Cube, a very exciting fundraiser held in aid of the Solace Centre in Waterford. And finally, we spend an afternoon at the Copper Coast Mini Farm. With only 1 week to go to find out if the Three Sisters bid for the 2020 European Capital of Culture is successful, we talk to Michael Quinn, the bid director, to find out how we can do our bit for the bid. So we're down to the final week of the European Capital of Culture competition here in Ireland, and I'm here with Michael Quinn, the bid director. Michael, tell us more about what the Three Sisters 2020 is aiming to do.
The Three Sisters is a unique partnership between the three local authorities, Waterford, Wexford and Kilkenny, to bid for the European Capital of Culture in 2020.
Michael, what would winning the European Capital of Culture mean for the region?
It would be transformational for the region. There would be an increase in visitor numbers. The region would become the place to visit in Europe in 2020 and the years before and in the years after that. There would be huge opportunities for people who are creative to have more sustainable jobs, more sustainable careers within their creative sectors. And generally it would change the whole attitude of the people in the region towards the region. There'd be a much more can-do attitude.
How can people get behind the bid and what can they do to ensure that we win?
At this stage, we've only got 1 week to go, so what we'd ask people to do is like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and to retweet our messages using hashtag #BidForTheBid.
Michael, the bid book has been submitted. What happens now?
Next week we have a visit from two members of the jury. We're going to visit Wexford, Waterford, Callan and Kilkenny, all in the one day. And then on the Thursday we have a 2-hour interview with the board. There'll be 10 people from the region representing the broad sectors and the broad region, and we will be presenting our position, our story, to a jury of 10 members.
When will we know if we win?
The decision will be made by the jury and announced on the 15th of July.
And Michael, what happens if we don't win?
There'll be a lot of disappointed people in the region. We've had huge support from the community sector, the general public, young people, artists, the business sector. But if we don't win, we have made significant progress creating a region for ourselves, and we have approved a regional cultural strategy, which is the first in this country by the three local authorities, and that sets out how we will work together to use culture in its broadest sense to improve the quality of lives of people in the region.
And Michael, a final message for the people.
Keep supporting us on Twitter and following us on Facebook.
Thanks, Michael. Well, there you have it. There's only 1 week left to go. Do your bit for the bid.
My name is Jim Nolan. I'm a playwright and a theatre director. And for almost as long as I can remember, I've been making plays for, in and about my native place of Waterford. I love my city and county, and I love the South East region. I love it because it's a beautiful, exciting and inspiring place to work and live. There's such a rich tradition here. I'm passionate about Waterford and the South East region, and I believe it's our time to stand together and show our desire to be the European Capital of Culture for 2020. Join me and do your bit for the bid. Tell your story on threesisters2020.ie.
The sporting tradition across this region is massive. It's not just about that, it's important that, you know, we forget about those competitive boundaries now and join together to formulate the strongest bid possible, and hopefully people of the three counties can forget the rivalry for one day and maybe get behind this bid. I'm passionate about Waterford and this region, so do your bit for the bid and join me to tell your story at threesisters2020.ie. La 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 la
Yeah, I carried you there. You were useless, man. Actually, I have it, I suppose. You know what I mean? You, what's going to be for?
The nightmare has actually happened with the decision of the UK to leave the European Union. Ireland now faces a series of consequences and difficult choices. It is clear that Britain and Europe both face a period of political and economic turmoil, and that Ireland will be deeply affected by this. We take to the streets of Waterford to gauge the feeling on the ground.
What do you think of the Brexit result?
Well, I think England are making a mistake, actually, in my opinion, that they lose a lot of things that they would be entitled to from Europe. And I can understand that they want to be independent, but in general, I think they lose,
And do you think it'll have an effect in Ireland for tourism?
I do, yes, I do, and it'll affect our exports as well, obviously. I think it has a lot of hidden implications, that I don't fully understand.
I'm absolutely delighted that the UK left the EU. It's a strong country. Europe needs Britain, the UK more than the UK needs the EU. It's a strong nation. On Sky News even this morning, an economist showed the £10 note and the picture of the Queen on it, and she was saying how, that people should have their money in Britain rather than anywhere else in the EU, Well, that's just my opinion. I don't know, but that's my opinion on it all, that from history, the Commonwealth, the whole lot, the UK has been so strong. And I mean, France and Germany and these countries should learn, they should have they have a short memory, because England, the UK stood with France when there was bombing last year, and they need the security side as well as the economic side.
I genuinely think we're right to pull out. The reason I think that, there's so much bullying going on in Europe at the moment, with dictatorship and everything. It doesn't matter what government you have in, you elect them to represent your country, to go there, and you've no say.
Yeah, it was a shock to me being Scottish. I kind of knew that Scottish people wanted to stay as part of Europe, and we all voted to stay in, and I'm a bit disappointed, I have to say that. I had a lot of friends who wanted to stay and remain, a lot of business people as well based in and around London who saw the advantages of being part of the EU and part of a bigger business empire as such. But it will take a long time, a good 2.5 years to sort everything out. And I think in the long term, what we'll probably see happening is Britain will become like Norway as part of the EU with its own specific trade agreements, but still kind of hanging in there. I think over time that'll happen.
I'm just really annoyed with the general British public for voting for Brexit, because Europe has so much to offer, and a lot of the Brexit decision was really down to racism, and it was being driven by get the foreigners out sort of attitude, and it's not been something that the people who voted to leave, I think a lot of them were totally misinformed and didn't really know what they were getting themselves into, and then on the day of the actual Brexit, the fact that the Prime Minister was having to resign, and there's so much upheaval, and there's going to be in the next probably decade we're going to suffer for this, and there's going to be an awful lot of costs that'll come from our Brexit.
Dermot, you're the news editor here in Munster Express in Waterford. Can you explain what it means now that the UK have decided to leave the EU?
Well, it's the biggest diplomatic crisis in Europe since the formation of the European Union, and probably the biggest political shift in the continent since the fall of the Berlin Wall. Nobody was quite sure what would happen when communism fell, and I think people are equally clueless now as to what will happen once Britain, if it does actually leave the European Union, actually separates itself fully from the EU. I mean, you're talking about 80,000 pages of legislation and laws that the British will now have to decouple themselves from, and I mean that's going to occupy an awful lot of civil servants' time. And Article 50 is the mechanism which has to be triggered by the British government to allow them to formally leave the Union. The talk at the moment is that it will take 2 years, but I don't know, 80,000 pages could mean this process takes a lot longer than that. And then, of course, there's the whole prospect that, given the instability in the Conservative Party and the Labour Party, that there may be a general election between now and Christmas, that a new government with a fresh mandate can reject the findings of the referendum, because it's not like our system, it's a parliamentary democracy, whereas we're a representative democracy, constitutionally basis. We have a constitution written, they don't, so it creates a huge amount of problems. What lies ahead, nobody really knows. It's uncharted waters, and you know, it's a cliche at this stage to say it, but the only certainty that lies ahead for the next 6, 18 months or even longer is uncertainty.
What are the immediate effects you see here in the southeast in Waterford?
Well, the biggest potential hit we might be likely to take will be when it comes to the exchange rate. Sterling has taken a big hit in the last week. The credit rating of the British economy has been downgraded by Standard & Poor's, and when you have an injection of economic uncertainty into any society, as we've seen ourselves here over the past decade, people keep their hands in their pockets and people are less likely to spend, which means people are less likely to go on holidays. So it's still too early to say if what's happened in recent weeks in Britain is going to have a long-term negative consequence for our tourism figures in Britain.
Well, it'll affect the whole country with tourism to a degree, with all of the economic life of the country. But it'll take a while. There'll be uncertainty for some time, but in years to come we will come back. But at the moment it's a worrying time for industry here in Ireland.
The Irish government wake up and follow these houses the Brits. Bail out. Enough is enough.
That's it for part 1. If you have a story for Irish TV, you can get in touch via Facebook, Twitter, or at Waterford at irishtv.ie. See you after the break. We're here tonight at the Woodlands Hotel for the Cube event in aid of the Solace Centre here in Waterford. The crowd is building, the contestants are nervous, the excitement is growing. Let's go see what it's all about.
So I suppose tonight is all in aid of the Solace Centre. So each contestant have done their own little bit of fundraising in the background over the last few weeks. And the winner of the Cube, then that will all go to the Solace Centre, and then the winner of the Cube then will win €1,000, a lump sum of €1,000, which they'll be able to donate to their own local charity or their own community organisation as well. So I suppose fundraising for us is so important because we're 100% community funded. So events like this are crucial for us to be able to provide our services. But what's great about it as well, you can do the fundraising, but it's brilliant to have a fun and exciting event as well that people enjoy going to and want to support.
Brian, it's great to meet you here tonight at the Solace Centre fundraiser, The Cube. Can you talk to me a bit about the work the Solace Centre do?
Well, the Solace Centre is a cancer support centre based in Waterford, and what we do is support those affected by cancer, those with a diagnosis themselves, their friends, their families, because we know cancer is something, when it strikes a family, it affects everybody, not just the person who's been diagnosed. So we provide support services in the form of counselling. We also have reflexology, massage, and what we call touch therapies. And the whole idea is to support those affected by cancer, to help them deal with their diagnosis of a loved one in their family, and I suppose to empower those and help people live with cancer. We know that thankfully, while cancer only a generation ago was such a fatal illness, nowadays so many people are being cured of cancer or living with cancer, and I think that word is very important, living with cancer. There is life with cancer.
Lisa, can you tell me a little bit about your own experience with the Solace Centre here in Waterford?
Sure, back in 2013 I was diagnosed with cancer. I suppose it's anyone's worst nightmare being told you have cancer. So my oncologist, Miriam O'Connor, suggested I go over to the Solace, and I went over that day. And the centre was absolutely amazing. I don't really remember my first time going through the doors. It was the second time I went back, and the people over there were absolutely fantastic. Not just for me, it was also for my family. I suppose when Solace were looking after me, they were also looking after them, so it gave me one less thing to worry about as I was going through my whole treatment. Absolutely amazing centre.
And of course it was a massive step for you to take the first day going through it. Talk to me a little bit about the people there at the Solace Centre.
Absolutely. I mean, it's everyone's worst nightmare. The fear, I think, takes over. So when I went in, I was like a shell. I was just sitting there. I remember meeting a lady called Kathy, and my husband and herself were doing all the talking because I actually couldn't speak. I had 3 young children at home, so all I kept saying to them was, I have 3 kids, I have 3 kids. So it was that day that Kathy actually said to me, Lisa, we look after your kids, we look after your mum, everybody. and I warmed to her. She was absolutely amazing, so it made me go back, and I used it then for counselling, for art groups, everything, reflexology, the lot.
So the Solace Centre offer a variety of different services then?
Yeah, absolutely. They're fantastic. They do everything from counselling, they do art groups, they do child art therapy, walk groups, Stride for Life, quite a lot. The reflexology, there's lots there. Yeah. Even the centre itself, when you walk in, it's like a little oasis. So it's not a case of you're going into this scary building, you know, it's a lovely place. It's a really friendly family atmosphere. It's fantastic.
With Michael, one of the contestants for the Cube. Michael, talk to me a little bit about why you decided to take on the Cube tonight.
Well, Lynn, I'm a great supporter of the Solace Centre. I'm being sponsored tonight by Waterford Harley Davidson, and we do the Save Our Boobs and Balls road trip. For the last 6-7 years for the Solace Centre, we've raised over 60,000. So whenever they have something comes up, they always say to me, do you want to come along and give it a go? So I was delighted. It's a great opportunity.
And how important is the Solace Centre, do you think, in Waterford and the southeast of Ireland?
Do you know what? It's been here. People tend to forget after a while all the good work and everything done and how they've started over the years. But it's fantastic for the community, and until you've had the need for it, thankfully, you know, you don't appreciate how much it does. And that's always the danger with so many other charities, that the established ones get forgotten. But what they do is unforgettable.
Lisa, the crowd are with you. The timekeepers are with you. I'm against you. I'm only messing around. Are you ready, Lisa? Start the clock.
Score of 6, yes? 5 1 to 6. Lisa.
Lisa, nerves? Hello.
Hard game. Here's one.
You have excellent tea. Well, I thoroughly enjoyed being part of the Cube, and it's a lot tougher than it seems. Best of luck to everyone, and it's definitely going to be a great night. Coast Mini Farm in Waterford, and I've got this friendly little creature, Chinchilla, with me. I'm going to take a tour of the place and see what's on offer here. Lawrence, thanks for having us today at the Copper Coast Mini Farm. Tell me when you set it up and why you set it up.
Yeah, it was set up in 2002, and it was ready for opening in August of 2002. And I suppose as an alternative enterprise, as well as I'm a dairy farmer by day. And then we do the school tours here in the morning. It takes up a couple of hours during the day, and so there's something different. And you know, it's great for the kids as well. As you can see, the schools around during the summer, it's great, you know, for families and that sort of stuff if the weather is good. And it's really only a 3 full month season, so the season is short enough. But it's weekends then in June and August, May, June and September.
And what's on offer here then at the Copper Coast Mini Farm?
Yeah, sure. Look, it's. I'd like to think that it's a good day out for the family, and value for money, and plenty of things to do. I mean, we have the go-kart track, we have a new playground in here, and you know, a lot of kids wouldn't have the interaction with animals on a daily basis like we would. We wouldn't think twice about it, I suppose, but it's new to a lot of people, you know. So.
And what's it like to maintain the farm then?
Yeah, maintaining it takes an awful lot of work, to be honest with you, you know, and I suppose we'd spend 2 weeks solid getting ready for opening at Easter time every year, and then every morning an hour or two would go get ready for the school tours and families and that kind. We do an awful lot of kids' birthday parties, and so that's one of the biggest parts for us at this moment.
And where can people find out about you then, Lawrence?
Yeah, Facebook page. Yeah, we're regular updates on our Facebook page and things like that. So, and also we're on some of the tourism websites also.
Now I'm here with Lara at the Copper Coast Mini Farm, and she's going to give us a tour of the place. Lara, lovely to meet you here. Talk to me about your role here on a daily basis.
Yeah, well, I do a lot of things in here. So I work in the cafe and I bake things as well. And then I give some tours. And when it's quieter in the evenings, I like to go in and take out some of the animals for people to hold as well. So a bit of everything.
So what can children expect then when they're coming here? What can parents expect when they're bringing their kids?
Yeah, well, I'd like to think it's a very friendly farm and it offers a hands-on approach as well, so you get to touch the animals and feed them, which you might not be allowed to do if you go to the zoo or somewhere like that. So it's really good and there's lots of things to do and play around on as well.
And how many different animals are kept here?
Oh, we must have between 20 and 30 different types of animals and lots of each one.
What is the most popular?
At the moment, since we just had a baby foal, that's the #1 attraction here. So it's just a week old now today.
And of course you cater for school tours and all that as well?
Yeah, our mornings are kept busy with school tours. We usually have about 100 children every morning. And yeah, that keeps us going really in June.
Okay, boys and girls, we're going to go on our school tour of the lovely little farm. My name is Lara and I'm going to give you a tour today. There's lots of exciting animals to see and you'll get a chance to feed some of them too. Okay? So you'll get to feed maybe sheep and goats because they're the best. Are you ready to go? Yeah. Okay. These are Sikh deer and that's the smallest type of deer that you can get in Ireland. So we have one boy and 2 girls. The boy is the one at the back with the bump on his head and that's where his antlers would go, but he knocked them off. Okay, so the 3 miniature donkeys, they're the best of friends and they live here all year round and they have lots of grass in there so they won't want any of this food. Okay, these animals here are called llamas. Last week they escaped from their pen and we had to come up and try and catch them. But luckily they're very easy to catch because they just follow whoever has the bucket. Have a look. Oh, look it, look it. And they're very clever. So if we keep going, they'll follow us down, don't worry. Now, can you see the little lamb there on the left? That lamb was born here last summer, so the lamb is only 1 year old. Now we're going to walk down to the end, turn left and go through the red gate.
Should we put your finger? Come on.
Donna, tell us what has you here today at the Copper Coast Mini Farm.
We're here with Ella's Play School, Tiernan Oak in New Ross. We came down for the end of year school tour.
And have you enjoyed it?
Yeah, we had a great time. We've been here before, so we were recommended it to Liz, the teacher at the play school, so it's absolutely brilliant. The kids had their lunch and then we went on a tour of the farm and they showed us all the animals and explained how they operate the farm and what the animals eat and everything, which is brilliant for the children.
And we've had a great time at the Copper Coast Mini Farm. It's the perfect location for a family fun day out. Well, that's all we have time for, folks, on this week's show. Join us at the same time next week and remember, Waterford County matters.